very first maiden voyage episode of Coffee and Closings, Charleston Real Estate Buzz. My name is Nat Wallen, and I have Elizabeth Nightingale here with me. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. I know you have a big day planned. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay. And you've already frozen. So there we go. Okay. All right.
Live is
Well,
live.
live is live. And, let's just jump right into the content. Today, we're going to talk about, let me just share this. Today, we're going to talk about James Island. And, in thinking about doing this live show, we make, you may or may not know, we have a YouTube channel. We make videos. Elizabeth has been in a few of them. And, it takes some time putting those videos together, and we love doing it. We show all of Charleston. However, it's not easy to keep your finger on the pulse when it comes to just regular YouTube videos. So here we are live. Let me just share my screen here. And this is our show opener. Again, I am Nat Wallen. Elizabeth and I work together, Elizabeth Nightingale. And let's talk about, well, first off, before we do so, thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me prepare this. I thought I would give us a few instructions here, Elizabeth, per ChatGPT, so we can make sure and have a successful day today. So first off, it told us that we need to be energetic, but not overly rushed in the delivery.
So no cheerleader. Oh, yay.
Yeah, I mean, you can bring out the pom-poms if you'd like, but I think the most important part is to remember that we are not broadcasters. In fact, I am not a trained communications expert at all. We're going to try to make things interesting. And most importantly, we welcome audience participation. So if you're out there and you're with us, thank you for joining us. And let's jump right into James Island. So we have a couple of different segments today. And since this is the first episode, we'd really love your feedback. We're not sure what this show is going to be, but we created 6 or 7 different segments. And if you could stay until the end, wonderful. Would love your input on which segments should come and go. Do you like them? Should we add anything? So the first thing let's talk about is, and this is close to your heart, not a bar, Elizabeth, but
well,
you do, yes, yeah. I kind of thought about it last night. Like, why are we talking about James Island first? And I kind of came to it, and this really wasn't our reasoning, but I was born on James Island, and you.
Well, it's a good beginning.
Yeah, and you live on James Island.
I do, yeah.
Right? Yeah. You do, yes. Yeah, so if you're not familiar, this is the Riverland Terrace area, and they have a new pathway planned. Now, I've been to the poorhouse a few times. I went there with my daughter about a year ago. And if you're familiar, Maybank Highway, that whole area is very walkable. It is, would you agree, the most walkable area on James Island, Elizabeth?
Definitely. And it makes it very desirable, but it needs to be more walkable. And it needs to kind of connect both sides of the road there. So they're talking about a couple different options. I mean, they're in the discussion phase of putting something like a crosswalk or something to connect one side of the street from the other, where the Terrace Theater is and over by the poorhouse. They're planning down by Woodland Shores to do a crosswalk over there. And then there's also talk to make the golf course area safer, which is further down the road on the way toward Johns Island.
Our kids are not speed bumps, they are not speed bumps. So let's slow things down a little bit. A lot of people coming off of Johns Island, I mean, that I can understand they're probably, frustrated to a degree, and we'll get to Johns Island in another episode, but Maybank Highway leads right into Johns Island, and there's a lot of traffic coming in. That's one of 2 ways to get onto Johns Island is Maybank Highway. And anyway, this is a great little hub. And, like Elizabeth said, the plan is, and this is going to happen sometime this year, I assume.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But will this be a big boost for property values in the area? I would say it certainly won't hurt the cause. I think the biggest boost for the property values in this particular part of James Island is, first off, the locations, because you don't have to go all the way down Folly Road to kind of get in and enjoy stuff. And this area here is actually pretty popular. In fact, this image here is, the band playing. There's also a flea market that happens over there, I think on Saturday mornings, and it's pretty significant flea market. Have you ever been to it?
I have not.
You have not.
I have
Okay.
not.
All right.
It's not my Saturday morning vibe.
It's not. Okay. Well, I've been there a couple of times. I hit all the all the flea markets, all the farmers markets. I never miss one. That's not true. But I have been, and you can get some local artisanal things, all types of things local. Obviously, we all know what a farmer's market is. But across the street, and let's try this here. I'm going to try to play this. This is what the Terrace Theater looks like, and right there in the right hand corner is Crust, which is a great pizza place, wood fired. And then the Terrace Theater here, they actually debuted the season 4 of Righteous Gemstones here at the Terrace Theater. Have you seen that show, Elizabeth?
I haven't seen the show, but I've actually had friends that have been extras in it. And the
Yeah.
only reason I haven't seen it is just because I don't have HBO and I haven't gone to go find it. It'll come to other syndications soon, but I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, it's a good show. Danny McBride, it's interesting. They took the Citadel Mall, which is in West Ashley, and they, the malls are kind of dying on the vine these days, right? Danny McBride moved here from LA. He's a funny actor, if you're not familiar, and a whole crew of people moved in. I think he lives on Sullivan's Island, perhaps. And anyway,
I heard
that is
Daniel
the
Island.
Yeah. Oh, really? No, I think he lives on. I think
Yeah,
he lives on Sullivan's Island, but
it's a
maybe
topic
that's
for
something that
another
we need to.
show. Where do the celebrities live in town?
Right. Yeah. So we got Bill Murray here, and we have Danny McBride and his crew. So anyway, they debuted the first episode of season 4 here at the Terrace Theater. It's a little art theater. It's kind of funky. You walk in and there are all these rooms and corridors, and there's a little theater here and a slightly larger theater there, and then there's like a really small theater here. And it's like, where am I? But it's kind of a cool vibe. So safety and entertainment are two things that are important, obviously. So that's the neighborly news segment. What do you have? Any inputs, Elizabeth, before we move on?
Any place they could make more walkable, I think is better for everybody. Safer, just getting people out on their feet is fantastic. But regarding that mall that's dying on the vine, as you said, in West Ashley,
Yeah.
I don't know. They're talking about reviving that whole thing and making it a huge of shops and restaurants, and tune for that.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. There's a lot to uncover, and that's sort of the goal of this show, is to, like I said, keep a pulse on what's happening in the real estate market. And so let's move on to segment number 2, and this is a big question we get all the time. What's better, James Island or West Ashley? Can you weigh in on it, Elizabeth?
I guess it depends on what you want. If you want to hang, it's James Island. If you want to hang out with Nat, it's West Ashley. But I think it just depends on a location and what you're looking for. But if you want to be closer to town and beaches, James Island.
Yeah. I would argue, though, that I could be as close to the beach as you are, and you're between me and Folly Beach. But what we do, and I live in the Northbridge area in West Ashley. We jump across Mount Pleasant and go into Sullivan's Island, and I bet it takes about the same amount of time, maybe a little bit shorter, for you to get to the beach. But I think the biggest difference here is that James Island, it actually is an island. And it's close to Folly Beach in downtown, like we talked about. And for that reason, and I say this on the YouTube channel, it kind of started growing early in life. And let's see if I can just share this. I'll share a map. Yeah. So James Island is right here, and here's downtown. Here's West Ashley, and you'll notice that they're both very close to downtown. So Elizabeth, you kind of live in this area here.
Hmm.
I'm over here. And because it's an island and it looks really large, but if you look at it really closely, there's quite a bit of marsh and waterfront that makes its way through James Island. So it's not as big as you would think. So it developed a long time ago, and there's no more room for growth. And West Ashley is much different in that it is not an island. Now, it is very similar. It does have a similar feel and vibe. It's kind of like the commercial stuff is, kind of 1970s vibe. It's just kind of old and organic in many cases, especially close in. But you'll notice this is West Ashley here, and you'll see it's pretty large, and it continues down. So that's one of the biggest differences, because there's not a lot of new construction on James Island, and it's because it is an island, whereas West Ashley, you can go and get newer stuff, from out of town.
Yeah,
So
true.
and we do have a YouTube video, West Ashley versus James Island, that kind of goes deeper into that. But yeah, so, but I think you're right, Elizabeth. It's really what are people looking for, or really what's best for you. I was speaking with somebody the other day. They need to be able to get out and travel really easily.
Mhm,
They travel weekly. So, West Ashley is about as, is very close to the airport,
mhm.
versus where you are, it might be more of a task to get out there. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for.
True,
But
but
wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
well, yeah, but while you're at the flea market on Saturday morning,
Yeah.
I'm at the beach having a nice early morning walk, so I might win. I don't
Yeah.
know. I might win.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, I mean, I think that works. Well, let's bust some myths.
Okay.
Again, we talked about James Island being an older area, and a lot of people think that James Island is just fixer uppers, and and like I said, it is an island. It's close to Folly Beach in downtown. And we talked about the fact that it's already grown. It was developed in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And then the new construction pockets are just kind of like infill projects. And again, West Ashley feels the same, but it's, like I said before, it's more convenient to all of Charleston. But there are not just fixer uppers on James Island, because remember, there's a lot of waterfront over there. And with that said, this is a property that's sold that's on the water. And, I just realized this last night. I told you I was born on James Island. This is actually a little peninsula right here. And my dad built a house right at the tip of this peninsula. I went home from the hospital to the country club, but shortly thereafter, he had built this house. It had this crazy 70s wallpaper. I was built I was born in 1969. Anyway, yeah, so this is where I was born. And, waterfront property is its own kind of thing here in Charleston. So no, James Island is not just fixer uppers. This one sold for 3,690,000. So
True, but some of those fixer-uppers, those are turning out nicely, and especially for people who want a single-story ranch home in some of these older neighborhoods with a little bit of elbow room around them. I mean, that's a desirable life right there. You've got a little bit of elbow room in some of these older neighborhoods with these ranch homes. That's nice.
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's there's no shortage of renovations happening in the Charleston area. And we see, we see a lot of ranches getting fixed up. And in fact, and that was a great segue, by the way, Elizabeth. But let's jump into the field report. So this is our third little segment. James Island's buyer favorites. So we talked renovated ranches. This is one on Dill Avenue, and it is, as you can see, it's kind of nicely put together, but it is an old ranch. In fact, you can see the brick. They painted the brick. It does not have a carport, and it was listed for $875,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath. Now, one of the bedrooms I'm going to show you in a minute. This main house here has 3 bedrooms, but you'll notice like they went in. It looks like they put an architectural shingle roof on it, and likely changed out the windows, gave it a modern color scheme, and it sold for $850,000. It took 49 days to sell. So this house does not, and you pointed this out yesterday, Elizabeth, it doesn't have a garage. So, $875,000 for a house on James Island with no garage. That's Mount Pleasant prices almost. Yeah.
But what the value is of that property isn't there an additional unit on the back of the?
There sure is. Yeah, it's got a carport, and yes, this looks like new driveway back here. This was likely a detached garage, potentially, that was turned into a mother-in-law suite. So there's that 4th bedroom. So that does make it a little bit of a needle in a haystack, because finding a place with a mother-in-law suite or Airbnb is not an easy task here. So yeah, I would say, but this is a good example of what I think without the ADU, the additional dwelling unit, I would say it's probably a mid sevens house, mid to high sevens house, but it sold for $850,000. Yeah, not easy to find. So yeah, that was a good one. Okay, let's jump into notes from the hot sheet. And first off, I think it might be a good idea to understand what is a hot sheet. Elizabeth, can you chime in?
It's properties listed within the last 24 hours, and they'll show price updates on that hot sheet. Things that go under contract will also show on that hot sheet. It's very hot, and it's a sheet.
Yeah, it's basically what's happening every day, and it's a good way for us to keep a pulse on what's happening in the real estate market. And so what I did is I ran one actually a couple of days back, so you can kind of understand the activity. There were 2 new listings since last Friday on James Island. One of them was $579,000, and another was $1,250,000. And 8 homes went under contract within the past 3 days on James Island. And out of those 8 homes, they sold quickly in 7 days or less. So that'll tell you, a lot of people are asking, like, what's happening with the real estate market? And this is pretty indicative that, the sky is not falling, as the news may be telling us,
It's houses are still selling.
Houses are still selling. In fact, let's take a look and see. Let's do our data dive. So let's take a look at the box in the middle, and you may not be able to see this, so I'm just going to kind of read this data to you. So don't squint. And so let's compare 2024 to 2025. In 2024, in March, there were 41 new properties that came on the market on James Island, and this year in March there were 89. So that's 117% increase. And then closed sales, there were more sales also this month compared to last year. There were 37 a year ago, 48 this month. Interestingly, the median sale price did go down, and I guess that makes sense because there's more competition and people want to move.
Yeah.
So the median sale price last year on James Island was $675. This year it's $653. The average sale price last year was $836, and this year it's $738. Now, does this mean that the real estate market is going down the drain? No, I don't think so. And I'm going to show you more on that in just a minute. But on average, the properties that did sell, they got within roughly 5% of their asking price. and it took 43 days to sell. And then if we just look at year to date, what happened, this year so far, or in 2024 by March, there were 126 new listings. By March of this year, there were 192. 94 closed sales in 2024 so far in March. By March of this year, 102. So yeah, the average days on the market went up just a little bit. So still, we're in a strong market. In fact, let me just jump right in with one more thing here. Well, first off, if we look at Charleston County, and I don't want to take too much time with this, but Charleston County is up as well. So new listings, 827 in March. This is all of the Charleston area. The median sale price actually went up. On James Island. It did not. It actually went down a little bit. But the average sale price in Charleston in March for 2024 was $906,000, and the average sale price so far in 2025 was $1,032,000. And so anyway, things are moving. But back to James Island, I think this is sort of where the rubber hits the road. If we look back at last month, this far right column here, next to the far right, the current inventory, this is the supply. So there are 78 people trying to sell on James Island. And if we move over to this almost far left-hand column, the third over from the left, 48 people were succeeding. So 78 people are wanting to sell, 48 people are actually moving. And out of those 48 that sold, they got within 3% of their asking price. And on average, it took about 49 days to sell. So is it a good time to sell? It depends really on your situation. Wouldn't you agree, Elizabeth?
I think it depends. I think it's a good time to buy and sell. And I don't think you can time any of this. You just need to do what you feel is right. But what you just illustrated is that there are still some bargains out there on James Island, and the location for the Charleston region really is great.
Yeah. Yeah, it really, it is. It is. Yeah. I would say, one big difference between James Island, I'm looking at this picture of these people cooking and West, I'm kind of jumping back here.
You're hungry.
But yeah, well, James Island does have better restaurants than West Ashley, I would say.
Oh, that's another topic for another show.
Another topic, another show. But yeah, there are some great food spots on Folly Beach, and I would say, I mean, I don't know if Ruby Tuesdays is still a thing here, but you won't find a Ruby Tuesdays. There may have been a Charlie's or a Fridays on James Island at one point, but everything seems very local over there.
It is very local. Yeah. They don't even want Starbucks in there. They have a Starbucks labeled brand name at the pier, but it's not a Starbucks.
Really?
They sell Starbucks coffee, and they'll even have a sign saying Starbucks coffee, but it's not a Starbucks with Starbucks baristas. You'll have to go to James Island or West Ashley for that.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking Folly here. Yeah. I was just talking about James Island in general. The food scene on James Island I think it's superior personally than West Ashley. I mean, there are some places, but James Island, it seems like there are multiple good spots.
So what you're saying is that we win.
Well, I mean, I would say that's a point on the James Island side.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that. But if you're trying to rush to the airport, or if you need a radiator,
if you want to go to Target,
I mean, we've got tire stores here. So anyway, let's keep going. We're going to try to keep this at 30 minutes. Let's see if that happens. Okay. The buyer game plan with all this information, it's ready, set, offer. The good ones, they go fast. So what I would suggest is, get pre-approved, know the area. And this is a great chance for our shameless plug. We have a free buyer toolbox, and let's see if I can show it. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so we put together a buyer toolbox. It includes a 20-minute video on flooding in Charleston. So there was a major flooding event in October of 2015. It was called the 1,000-Year Storm, and it was kind of crazy. We had 24 inches of rain in a weekend, which is as much rain as we get in a year. And what happened is the ground got saturated, and the most of the flooding events that we've had in Charleston have been like things like this, to where I had friends that had water bubbling up in the crawl space. Anyway, this video, that time period, that 1,000-year storm, gave us the ability to go and look at where the low areas are in Charleston. And we talk about that in the video. It talks about flood insurance and what to do if you're buying an older home. And then it also includes, and I feel like the ShamWow guy, but it includes a 2-hour deep dive video. So it's not on YouTube. This is something that I made a few years ago, but it shows all of Charleston. It's a drone tour. And then we have
too. Matt, you've done an amazing job with that. It's artwork.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I like to geek out and make videos. And here we are making one right now. And the reason being, again, is because we want to help you keep a pulse on what's happening in the Charleston area and really kind of learn it from a distance. And this buyer toolbox will help you do that. It's not listed here. There wasn't enough room, but we also have the Elizabeth's how to buy a home video, which is a great step-by-step guide. It really gives you, I would call it kind of a safe island. A safe island is something I learned in sales a long time ago, but it basically helps you understand the entire path before you take the first step. So it brings stress down, and it's a good 10-minute watch. And Elizabeth delivers some good information about what to expect when buying a home and the steps that we take.
And the most important thing is, when people enter the home buying arena, if they have a good agent, they are not alone.
Absolutely.
They have someone there to help through the whole thing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's obviously what we're here to help you with, of course. And the last one are the driving tours that we put together. So many people come to us and say, well, I want to buy, but I want to rent first. I want to make sure I understand the entire area, and that's fine. But, Charleston is pretty easy to get to know. In fact, normally what I do when meeting with buyers is, cherry pick properties in the different parts of town that are possibilities for them, and just go see 2 over here, 2 over here, 1 over here. And at the end of the day, people pretty much have a feeling like, I like this part of town, but I don't like this part of town. And the driving tours are 11 different tours that you use, with your phone. So you open up a map link and you can choose your Apple iPhone Maps or Google Maps. And it's just a great list of great things to do in each area. And we designed this to help people that are coming up and down the East Coast deciding on what part of town they want to live in. And so, you'll just not just get a good loop of Charleston and some direction, but also it's filled with fun things to do and great things to see. So you can really kind of absorb what Charleston has to offer. So that is the buyer toolbox. There's a QR code. And what else can we say about this, Elizabeth?
What about the sellers?
The sellers. Yeah, let's get to that. Thank you for nudging me along here. So the sellers, same thing. The good ones, they go fast. Just like the buyers. So ready, set, offer. So what does that mean as a seller? If you're on James Island, first off, let's make yours one of the good ones. And if you're thinking like, okay, I've got to do this and I've got to do this and I've got to do this, a lot of times people think they have to do more than they actually have to do to prepare their home for sale. I normally say, first off, pack the stuff because you're going to move. And even if you just take one bedroom and just kind of like declutter, this is obvious, right? But even if you just take one room and fill it with boxes, you'll feel good because your house will have less stuff in it, of course, and you'll already have a jump start on moving, and people will understand like, okay, yes, they must be moving just like I'm getting ready to do. So I would say prepare your home. If you'd like for us to come and take a walkthrough, we can absolutely do that. Not a problem at all. Someone just scanned the QR code. This is our first show.
Hey.
And yes, if you are out there and watching, would love for you to leave a comment, because you will be the first person to leave a comment. And maybe you already have. Am I using this software properly? No, we haven't seen a comment yet. But if you're out there and you'd like to leave a comment, this could be the very first comment on the coffee and closing show, which would be interesting, exciting for us. So
If we
anyway,
had the theme music right now, I would say cue the theme music.
I know, we have a jingle on the way, and I'm not going to sing it for you, but you will hear it if you tune in. But anyway, if you're a seller, the good ones go fast. We can help you prepare your home. You can find your home's value, and let me just share that QR code with you here. You can find your home's value by scanning this code, and it will. It's automated, and it will just give you. It'll actually give you a great set of tools. You can kind of figure out, like, what if I pay an extra $200 a month? How much shorter will my 30-year loan be? There are a number of great things. So that's a free HomeBot account. You'll also get an app with that. So, opt into that. And you will also get into our neighborhood newsletter in doing so. So, keep that in mind. And I would just say, for sellers, expect competition, because there are homes on the market. Wouldn't you agree, Elizabeth?
Yeah, definitely. This is not 2020 or 2021. It's a more normalized market now. So do expect some competition if you're buying or selling, but it's not the crazy times. It's more normal.
Yeah. It's absolutely more normal. In fact, in 2020, it was crazy. Nobody knew what to expect with the pandemic. I thought, the market was going to fall off the cliff, but it really put a spotlight on Charleston. And I think in 2021, I may have had like 20 sales in March. I mean, it was insane. And there were no private showings. So it felt like a cattle call. I mean, imagine trying to buy a house and there are 15 other people there. That's not the case right now in the James Island market, but there is competition. Remember, with the hot sheet, there were 8 properties that moved, in less than 7 days within the past 3 days. So the market's good. The market's great.
Nat, what's on tomorrow's show?
Oh, goodness. Tomorrow's show, I guess it's going to be 8 a.m. Thank you very much. One last thing, and we'll see, because you're going to be gone. So I'm going to be talking to a vacuum, and that's, maybe I can recruit
Have a
somebody.
guest on.
Yeah. So, but tomorrow the plan is to talk about Daniel Island. So if you're out there, go ahead and subscribe. One last thing, I threw this in at the end, Elizabeth. Charleston hacks. And hacks sounds negative. I'm trying, do you know what a hack is, Elizabeth?
Like a secret way to get something done quickly.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like a cheat code.
Yeah, don't tell anyone though.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're telling people. So the lowdown on James Island has half price burgers on Thursdays.
By the way, the Bohemian Bowl has half price burgers on Wednesdays.
Okay. So there's 2 for James Island. Yeah. So, should you eat 2 hamburgers in 1 week? Probably not. But, and I have been to the Bohemian Bowl, and it's very good. I like Lowdown personally, but they also have other days. I think it's like half price pizza on some day. I don't want to tell people the wrong thing, but half price burgers happen as well. And so the Lowdown, there's your Charleston hack for the week. Lowdown Burgers has on Folly Road. It has half price burger day on Thursdays.
And
Thursdays,
they're good.
half price. Yeah, they're like $6. I mean, so they're good. All right. Well, look, we went a little bit over. We're 34 minutes. The plan was 30 minutes. Not bad for the maiden episode. Elizabeth, you're on your way to Germany, correct?
I am.
Yeah.
Home of the hamburger.
Yes, you got to try the potato salad over there as well. German potato salad.
I will.
Have you ever had that? Yeah,
yes, I have.
All right. Well, look, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to get the Buyer Toolbox and your free HomeBot account. There are the QR codes there. I'll leave them up on the screen here for a bit. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And this again, this is the first episode of Coffee and Closings, Charleston Property Buzz, and we'll have that jingle soon. Hopefully, if Scott and Suzanne are out there. Scott and Suzanne are my neighbors. They are professional musicians. So Suzanne is an opera singer. And when I just know Suzanne is Suzanne, but when she opens her mouth to sing, it's like angels fly out of it, like golden butterflies fly out of it. It's just amazing to hear her. And Scott, her husband, is he works for the Catholic Church, and he works for a church school, and he is the organist. And he actually just renovated their church. It was like a 5-year project. The guy is not an architect. He's not a designer. And he did the most amazingly beautiful job on a church. Wow. He had windows redone, and I mean, stained glass. Amazing. Anyway, they together are working on our jingle. We wrote it the other night, and I'm not going to sing it for you.
Please don't. Don't.
Oh, you won't. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and have a wonderful Monday, and reach out anytime, natwallen.com. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye.
Bye.